All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? Here live for a post fight for Raymond Muratalia's defeat over Andy bit off more than he can chew Cruz, who is still a good fighter, even in defeat, man. He put a pretty solid effort, but I think going in here this early in his career against a champion, I think he saw the level, think the experience of being in the ring with Muratalla kind of gives him a benchmark of where the standard for becoming a world champion, where it's at and what it takes to achieve that level. Because I also think they stated this is his first time going into a 12 round fight. So that's something that he can really build on, and hopefully one day they can achieve that. Hopefully one day him and his team can achieve that feat of becoming world champion. But it's just not going to happen right now. It ain't going to happen right now. And the other clown thing that I saw in this fight event was a video right before I went live. Right before I went live, almost decided to move this live back. So almost decide to move this live back after seeing the video put up by the dude who works with his name Sean. I think he works. Matter of fact, I saw the dude Sean in Vegas like 3 days ago out here, who works for Fight Hype, and he posted a video of Keyshawn Davis doing all this little theatric shit at the side of the damn ring as the announcement being made, and clapping for Ray Muratalia's victory over Andy Cruz as if he was the one who was in the ring defeating Andy Cruz, who was the guy that defeated him twice in the in the amateur ranks, and then in the Olympics. So he beat him twice in the Olympics, once or twice in the Olympics, and I think he has some defeats over him as in their amateur careers. But then it's almost like what brought Keyshawn to this fight? Was Keyshawn there just to support Ray Muratalla to defeat the guy that he couldn't beat? Like, that shit was just weird to me. Like, that's something that you should want to achieve, not to celebrate somebody else's feat for what you couldn't do. And maybe Keyshawn views this as it gets the pressure of him having to fight Andy Cruz off his back, being that Andy Cruz has suffered a loss. Now he has to work his way back up in the ranks, and it buys Keyshawn a little bit of time. But that time may be also a beneficial thing for Andy Cruz, who definitely has to go back to the drawing board and work on some things. And some of these things is about what adjustments to be made, because I didn't see any adjustments made by Andy Cruz, and this is one of the reasons why he lost the fight. I don't know if that goes from Andy Cruz's confidence in the ring, or does that fall back on Bozy Eunice? It falls on one of them, but ultimately I'm going to place that onto the fighter. The fighter never made the adjustment. It was the fighter's decision to never move forward in this fight, to constantly fight off the ropes, constantly move back, and that's something he has to learn. You can't fight a fight with your back. Just from the optics of that shit doesn't look good, and especially for people trying to score the fight, of seeing you being the fighter that's being walked back, seeing you the fighter that punches are being thrown, whether they land or not. It just looks better from the guy that is more offensive. The guy's doing the work to cutting off the moving fighter, who had his moments of landing punches. People would say, but did you see what's that dude name? Did you see Muratalla's face? He had marking, and that shit don't mean two bits of shit. Gloves are fine. Gloves land on the face, especially as being a lighter dude. But to think that Andy was landing anything of significance, not at all. It didn't make this dude second guess moving forward at Andy Cruz. He put his hands down against Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz was the guy in the fight initiating clinches as well. So therefore, from the optical standpoint, from judges who are humans, who can be flawed at everything, they're not cameras and all that other stuff, may not see certain things. And my point from watching the fight being televised and greater camera angles and a greater eyes view than what the judges have, I saw this is not even a close fight. And that's why I was hoping that the judges' scorecards don't come out close to like the clowns that work at DAZN doing the ringside commentary shit, and the scorecard put up by Chris Maddox. They didn't look nothing like that. Because Chris Maddox, I think, may have had as a 2-point fight. I saw it as a wider score. And that's the way that the two judges saw it, except Max DeLuca, who I don't know what fight he was watching. to call that fight a draw. The fight was not a draw. Fight was not close. It was, to me, a one-sided fight. I think the guy pulled away from that shit. Didn't see it as anything close. Andy Cruz, being a guy with 6 fights, what was people expecting him to do? Go in there and dominate this damn champion with let me see, let's pull up their records. Let's go over here. But some people are skilled, some people are outliers, some people are more advanced and can probably do more than what they're lacking in resume and experience inside the ring tells us. Let me see. Ray, hold on, let me split this one. Muratalla, California kid, undefeated, 24-17, versus a dude who just has an amateur background that is thrusted up to the forefront of shit, expedited in a similar fashion that Lomachenko was. For those who don't watch boxing as much or follow it like some of us who are boxing junkies and shit at times, and it's hard to be a boxing junkie in this current era of boxing, who end up getting like a world title shot in like 3 fucking fights and shit. And but so here we go. And no, he became a champion because he defeated Gary Russell in his 3rd fight. So we got this dude Ray Muratalla with 27 fights, all of them victories. He done stopped 17 of his opponents. Versus this dude Andy Cruz, who steps in his fight, fighting for a title in his 6th fight against a world champion. So I mean, this is a dude who stepped up. He tasted what a championship level fight is, and he fell short. And what did people expect? He's a guy who has a lot of work to go out there and get done. There's a lot of work to go out there and get done. And he should not hang his head down on this one. He wasn't stopped. He wasn't hurt too bad. I mean, he stood in there. He took the shots. But next time, he'll learn to what adjustments. He has to go back and watch this film. He can't run away from it. He cannot hide his head. He cannot worry about the echoes that are being thrown his way that are criticizing and laughing at him, especially not from Keyshawn Johnson. Or what's the fool? Keyshawn Davis. He can ignore anything coming from Keyshawn Davis because Keyshawn ain't the one who won the fucking fight. He didn't do a goddamn thing but sit on the side of ropes and troll and shit. And look like a goddamn clown. A clown who ain't been in the ring in a while. So this dude can immediately take his time, rest up, get his mind back right, get back into the spirit of victory and shit, and build off of this one. You went into your 6th fight fighting the world champion who was in hellified shape, a world champion who was being trained by one of the best in the damn sport in Robert Garcia, who was a dude who is extremely committed to the sport of boxing. I don't think nobody has a greater commitment to the sport of boxing than Robert Garcia and the things that he pours into these fighters. And then the fighter who pours into his own self and his own career and not being sidetracked from what's in front of him and what boxing can present to this dude. I mean, this dude went into hellified shape, never looked tired. Not 1 second of this damn fight was Muratalla. From the beginning, when I'm looking at this fight and seeing that the way the fight was going, like within the first 30 seconds, I'm looking like Andy Cruz better change some shit because he immediately started getting on that bicycle. And I'm looking at it like maybe he's just trying to create a little bit of movement, create some changes, get away from things. And he never stopped that shit in that 1st round. Then he comes in the 2nd round. And in the 2nd round, Muratalla really start to punish him, start to beat on him. And I think some of the punches that he felt from Muratalla made him start to want to move. He has to learn how to get his defense a little bit tighter, avoid some of these shots, standing there and change the dynamics on shit and understand these fighters. But he's only 6 fights in at this professional level. And it's some shit he'll learn, but by the time maybe down the line he can build himself up enough to avenge this loss, or maybe Muratalla just has his number because maybe Muratalla accelerates in his path as well. And then Devontae says, to be fair, says Cruz has been going around the whole promotion of this fight, talking about Key, calling him his son. Says it's fair game, absolutely. And that's the other thing with these fighters. You get these motherfucking fighters who got an opponent right in front of them, and they sitting here worried about child's play shit. Like you just brought up, Andy Cruz talking about Keyshawn Johnson. Some shit they ain't done to each other in the professional side of shit. Some shit they did in the Olympics and in the amateur world. And then they got a world champion in front of them, and he's spending his time worried about fucking Keyshawn Davis. Same thing with Keyshawn, spending his time worried about this damn fool. Keyshawn going to this fucking fight worrying about seeing if Andy Cruz loses a fight when he got a damn fight coming up next goddamn week. He in there worried about this damn dude over here in Vegas. And guess what he about to do in Vegas? He probably about to be out here drinking. He probably about to be out here partying. Because I see Shakur out here as well. But knowing Shakur be in the gym or some shit. Keyshawn, who seems to be a little as a distracted young dude, a dude who will buy into all this newfound fame that he has, having a little money, we'll find his ass at one of these bars, getting his AB on, drinking and shit. He better hope he made weight going into this fight because this Vegas trip can spoil everything he has set up for himself going into this fight on the Shakur versus Teofimo fight card, being out here in fucking Vegas. It's a place that for a lot of people who don't know how to handle shit, Vegas can be a trap for a lot of these dudes. And the box sparring says, "What up, my brother?" He says, "Great scrap," says Raymond with the dub. Yes, indeed. I don't think I've ever seen Raymond fight. I don't even know if I've watched him. I seen he had Tevin Farmer on his resume, but I don't know if I watched that fight. So this is my first time seeing a fight. I'm like, this damn dude can fucking fight. I've heard his name multiple times, but I never caught a fight of his. And the Velocity Cut says 118, 110, Chim Cheatham would be wilding. No. I agree with that fight, that scorecard. I agree with that card. If I was a judge, my card would have looked like that as well, or 116, 112. Because Andy Cruz didn't do a goddamn thing. He didn't do a goddamn thing. He never established himself. Never stepped forward. He moved around the whole time. Muratalla didn't have to do shit. The most Muratalla did, and he boxed so fucking beautifully, is when fucking Andy tried to go off on these little exchanges and the old dude needed to break that shit a little bit, he took one step back. But every time he took a step back, that back foot is always in position. He moved right back forward, and his hands are already there. He putting shit right back on. He's painting Andy Cruz. He put paint on him. He masterpieced him. Picasso. Michelangelo. He did all type of shit on him. He's painting him. And if he had been a light-skinned fighter, Andy Cruz, you would have seen all that shit painted all over him and shit. And then I was hearing, because I didn't listen to the post fight, but I went to I listened to, I think, Southpaw or somebody towards the end of the fight because I wanted to hear their take on the shit. And he was speaking about the post fight, and Andy Cruz admitted he lost the shit. Andy Cruz knew what it was. Andy Cruz, a young fucking fighter, 6 fights in. Went in here against the world champion, never fighting. Let's go to Andy Cruz, matter of fact. Let's pull this shit back up. Let's go into this Andy Cruz resume, who this is only his 7th fight. And being that he has had, how many times he has went deep in a fight? He has went to a 10th round fight. He started off his career as a 10-round scheduled fighter. So they're like, he got enough experience. He's in great enough shape. We throwing him in 10-round fights. B, we're going to put him in here against people who have decent resumes, not people with upside-down records. Throwing him in here. So they threw him here, started his career throwing him off in here against experienced fighters. First fight, 35, 7-3 fighter. So a fighter with over 40-something, 40, hold on, move this. They start him off with a fighter with 40, what would that be? 45 fights to start his career. Put him in a 10-round fight. He beat that guy. He goes in his next fight against a fighter with 32 fights. What is that? 32 fights. And then his next fight will be against a fighter with 16 fights, scheduled for 10 rounds. He went 10 with that dude. Then he gets a 37-fight opponent against this Anthony Moran dude. He stops him in the 7th round. He gets this next fight against a guy with 21 fights, only 1 loss. This dude with 18 fights, 1 loss, 1 draw. He stops him, and then he gets this fight. So they've been moving him up properly, making sure he's fighting guys, not guys that are just no experience and he just washes them. So they've been kind of moving him the right way, but not at this level. I think it was a little bit too fast. They bit off more than they can chew. But in the stop to fight this dude, this is at the Fontainebleau. But in this fight, for Andy Cruz, he doesn't get stopped by this champion, but the champion showed him where you have to go. So it may take it into like looking at his training of elevating what they're doing inside of the camp. They have to elevate some things. Bozy need to get away from all that little fancy work, all that moving a little swim pad shit and doing all this shit like his mitt work and throwing little pity patty ass shit. They gotta get away from that shit. And he needs to strengthen up. It's some areas they need to get stronger on this dude, like maybe his legs, maybe his legs and hips, so that way he can drive punches that are much stronger and shit. They definitely need to strengthen his hips and shit, and maybe his back so he can get stronger punches. Cause he's slim as fuck. He got real slim ass frame and shit. And that's why he couldn't keep Muratalla up off of him. Boxer Sparring says Blue Balls and 78 Sandwiches said they scored it a draw. Says you can't fix stupid. Yeah, no, it wasn't close to a draw. And that's probably them basing their biases. These dudes are dudes who watch boxing through a lens of always having who they want to win. And once you have your mind set on picking who should win, you always setting biases and when shit don't go the way that you want. So that's the way I don't pay attention to these dudes. That's why I kind of like calling shit on my own. I'll hear a little bit of opinions to see where I match up with other people's opinions on this shit. But it's all opinions. Motherfuckers may not agree with me neither. And then Velocica says stupidity is contagious. Facts. Devontae says Bozy wasn't saying next to nothing. Says in that corner, laugh out loud. And that could be why Andy thought it was cool to just keep running around in the damn fight. And then he gets presented a scorecard that reflect what he was doing inside the ring, running around. SO City Sicker says 118, 110 was wild as fuck. See, they don't like that one because a lot of people don't like those wide scorecards. I thought it was right. It probably wouldn't have been 3 rounds I could have found for Andy Cruz. It wasn't 3 rounds I could find for Andy Cruz. He did relatively nothing in that fight. And then Boxer Sparring says, facts of velocity, laugh out loud. And then even when they had where Andy would kind of open exchanges with him, Andy lost every single one of those exchanges. And then Devontae says, Bozy was saying next to nothing in that corner. And then Boxer Sparring says, Bozy's instructions were straight buns. Says he's 1-3 in the last 3 fights. Says Bozy Cruz and Cool Boy says we're exposed. Yeah, his thing with Cool Boy, I don't know if I blame that on Bozy. I don't think there's much you can do with Cool Boy. I don't think there's much you can do with Cool Boy because Cool Boy shit is a mind thing. Like that monster anyway. Cool Boy stepping up to fight one of the best dudes currently around in boxing. Went over that dude country and got his ass crushed. And I think it's more of a mind thing. I think that's for anybody. If you a dude fighting, you get knocked out by somebody. I think that's definitely gonna have an impact in the way you fight going on with your career. And then Ace what is that? Ace Retro says Cruz fought the wrong fight. Says should have kept it in the middle. Facts, bro. Facts. And those are some of the adjustments he should have made. He should have been more working off the jab, maybe taking little steps around, working off pivots, instead of sliding around the ring and Ray cut that fucking ring off every fucking time. Everywhere he tried to move, to try to use this Cuban style of boxing, and they know him to box and move around on you and do all tricky style of shit. He couldn't do none of that shit on Ray. He didn't do none of that step back, move side, dance on people and all that shit. None of that shit worked on Ray because Ray got the same footwork. And Robert Garcia ain't limited as a trainer. When he knows what the abilities of his fighters have, he'll go into train them to what best suits them. They can go into kind of a real fundamental style. Some of them he can train to be Mexican style, and the ones with more gifted black styles of being able to fight, more dynamics to them, boxing in the black American style and being more dynamic. That's what he can train them with, and then making sure they're in a proper fucking shape to go these long, grueling fights. Because that's the one thing you always find with Mexican fighters. You rarely find Mexican fighters get tired in fucking fights. You rarely find a Mexican fighter getting tired in a fight. Now, I don't give a fuck the fighter going in like Andy Ruiz, who fucking is obese as a motherfucker. You never watch Andy Ruiz get tired in fights until he start getting that fucking money. But he still go as 12. Even when you watch, what was the other Mexican fighter? Wilder fought him one time. He was Chris Arreola. Even Chris Arreola. Watch his big ass. One thing you ain't gonna find with the Mexican fighters, and it's the one thing you got to be in tip-top shape when you're fighting these motherfuckers. Because one thing I know when we start dealing with seeing Mexicans, is I was moving up in age and being around Mexicans, is that they'll do that cross country shit. They do sports where they run long distance. Everything with them ain't built off of just speed and having to have quick twitch muscle and running fast. They'll build for endurance and shit. And the one thing in boxing, I can't even call a Mexican fighter I seen get tired in the fucking ring. And it just goes to show what kind of training they're doing going into boxing. Can somebody name a Mexican fighter that's got tired? I ain't seen that shit. Even when they get beat on, like last time I watched with Rob Garcia brother, who they told not to fight Earl Spence, put on all that unnecessary muscle that didn't turn into muscle. Going against Earl, he didn't quit in that shit, but it was one of the biggest blunders of his damn life of not stopping that damn fight. He kept going on, not seeing him fatigue, and then but yeah, he should have fought that fight in the ring. He should have definitely made adjustments to stop moving so much. And the Velocity Cut says, Twitterson says, probably Cook Muratalla. Says, Raymond should go after Zepeda or Kid Austin, cuz. Yeah, he should. Because I think I seen in a video, post video that they brought up, he's talking about something with Tiafimo or some shit. And the Devontae says, yeah, Keyshawn says, better be careful. Says, because Jermaine Ortiz says can actually beat him. Says, not an easy fight for Key. Keyshawn may lose that fight because I think Keyshawn losing his way within the sport. I think Keyshawn losing his way in this sport. I don't think that dude is as focused as he once have. Maybe there's a lot on his plate. Maybe he's dealing with shit with his family. I don't think he comes from a family of people who do their end on shit. I think he comes from a family who depends on him. They see he got money, which is happens with a lot of communities and people. They see one person get money and then 100,000 people come running forward like you're supposed to take care of all the motherfuckers. And that's probably put pressure on them and burden. And then 93 Octane says, how Khalil get away with 8 pounds over, says, and body slams to still pull off. I don't even know why Jesse Hart took the fucking fight still, but I mean, maybe he didn't want to lose out on that payday. Maybe he didn't want to lose out on that payday. And the fact that this dude who missed the weight is a young dude, he needs to move up in weight. And if that dude moves up in weight, he gonna get crushed. Because he fighting like that, where are they fighting at? Cruiserweight? So that means this dude needs to move up to, hold on, let me go to that fight card. So they're fighting at, hold on, let me go to this event. So these dudes is fighting at light heavyweight. So that dude Khalil needs to move up to cruiserweight. He needs to get up to cruiserweight and fight some of them fight some of the bigger dudes. Some of the dudes at his proper size. Because he obviously can't make this damn weight. He done missed it by that damn much. And Khalil Cole looked for fucking familiar. Was Khalil Cole a football player or some shit? Hold on, let me look at the background of this dude. This dude looked very familiar to me. Let me see. Where is this fool from? Or do he got some California lineage or some shit? Let me see. Let me check his background. Says very young age. Says dude. Oh no, so no football. So he grew up boxing. I like to take part in Germany. To stop 2 times. So he got his name built up. Says not only did Cole win the overall tournament, this some chemistry cup in Germany. Says he became the first man to stop 2-time gold medalist Julio Cesar La Cruz. He was on Team USA. He was unable to qualify for Olympics due to a criminal record. So this dude was getting himself in fucking trouble. So no, he wasn't a football, but he looked familiar for some reason. Maybe I seen him on Vegas, but I think I seen this dude years ago in some shit. So maybe that's not him. And then he says, but yeah, I don't see how he got that. But that's once again, you get these fools trying to drain themselves, the fighting divisions with guys who don't pose a threat because they're not much bigger than them. And then Jesse Hart is kind of past his prime as well. And I seen that dude from the YouTube channel training. What's that fool? What's the fool from Philly with the YouTube channel? He fought Brian Norman dad. What's that fool name? Then you got the Philly channel on here. He be on there with the other dudes from Philly. Boxer Barnes says Keyshawn Davis is out here clowning Andy Cruz after taking his first L. Says his own fight hype. Yeah, I was looking at that shit, watching him clown from the side of the ring like a goofball. Greg Hackett, thank you. Yeah, Jesse Hart was being trained by Greg Hackett. Devontae says Bozy fighters seem to fight how they train in the gym. That's facts. That's facts. That's facts. And it's not going to work with certain fighters, certain fighting styles, and especially going there against a lot of these tough and rugged ass Mexican fighters. It's not going to work. And then D says, but what is Ray Muratalla? Ray Muratalla look like a probably black Mexican motherfucker. And then D says Andy 30 says with 6 fights, that's crazy. Oh, he is? That's that Cuban shit. So Andy 30, let's see. Yeah, that's that them long term, the motherfuckers who do that long term amateur shit. And that's that Cuban shit where them fools be older than what they be telling people and shit. See, I was thinking Andy Cruz was like 20, 20, young 20 something. I didn't know he was in his damn 30s. So maybe that experience is what helped him beat Keyshawn back in the day. So he is 30 years old. That's crazy. That's crazy to hear that. So yeah, so shit. Andy better speed his damn career up. He better speed his shit up. I did not know he was 30 damn years old. So yeah, this may have been his last shot. Shit. And then Keyshawn definitely avoid him. He may never get a fight with Keyshawn. Maybe he fights till he's about 36 years old or something. But he got 2 or 3 more years to for his prime and shit. He got about 2 or 3 more years for his prime and shit. And it's over with. Wait, how old is Ray Muratalla? That dude sat in the damn amateurs for too long. Ray younger than him by a year with 24 fights. So yeah, Andy tripping. Andy tripped out. But maybe that's because he couldn't get out of Cuba. That's the other thing with Cubans, is just trying to get your way up out of there. You gotta find a good enough boat to catch a current over here to America. Because the Cubans ain't coming in here on yachts and all that shit. They gotta put a damn a truck frame on top of a pontoon and shit, and pay attention to the what they call them winds. What is the little navigation of the seas and shit? That nautical shit. They know all the little currents that lead straight into America. Yeah, he got to find one of them damn currents, and he came over here late than a mug. And then he says Andy 30 says 6 fights, that's crazy. And then Devontae says, yeah, 118, 110 was correct scorecard. It says wasn't no Robbie at all. Yeah, it wasn't a Robbie at all. Andy didn't do shit. He didn't do much of anything. He didn't adjust anything. He never led action on anything. He started holding in the fight. He was holding so much that Muratalla at one time tried to push this fool up off of him because Harvey Dock didn't get in there fast enough to break it. There was another time when Harvey Dock telling him to break. Harvey Dock had to snatch Andy Cruz ass up off of this dude from holding. Like he was having moments where he was unable to really catch his breath. He was getting hurt with shit. He was getting a little bit of tired, having to buy time. He was starting to hold, clinch up. Odu stayed on his ass. He kept the gas, kept a constant. It wasn't like he was overdoing it, but he kept a constant tempo throughout that fight. And it was a tempo that Andy Cruz could not keep up with. And it's Andy being 30. Other fighters may want to keep a tempo on because maybe age becomes a factor and shit. And Andy is real slim for fucking 135 because that Ray Muratalla dude look way bigger than that dude. Devontae says I'm riding with Keyshawn. Says he from over here in VA too. Says he better goddamn represent for us. Man, that fool is right out here. I can drive right down the strip and go find where these motherfuckers at, and that fool probably sitting in the bar somewhere, drinking that bullshit as a professional going in a fight next week. Box Sparring says Khalil Cole says is with O'Shea Jones, and he says Greg Hackett, and then Anthony Jones says very disappointing. Khalil Cole says I was very high on him. Says lost all respect for him coming in 8 pounds overweight. It's disgusting. Yeah, it was very disgusting. And then to see him fight in this disgusting fashion in the ring. See him never press the attack, never try to get his opponent out there, even when Jesse Hart was hurt. Never try to get him up out of there. I actually thought Jesse Hart was going to catch him with something and get him out of there. Because there's some punches Jesse was throwing, and I was like, oh shit, this is going to stun this dude. And the Velocity Cuss says take a minute for them to defect Cuba. Or to defect from Cuba, cuz yeah, I understand that shit. I understand that. Plus, I'll be looking at them Cuban because I like watching these international tour videos. I like watching these fucking tour videos, where people be over there traveling. They go through these countries, and I'll be looking at the Cuban videos. Cuba is fucking disgusting. That shit is nasty, homie. That country is so ass backwards in time. It's like time that stood still in that shit. I'm like, God damn, like what the hell is up with this one, man? Like they They have to become more more inventive with shit. They have to advance themselves. Also, while I'm looking, I want to pull up this channel I came across. It's this fool, man. This shit is dope shit right here. Let me show this shit. This dude making burgers in his backyard. He created some channel called Burger Zero. I think that's the one I was watching. Yeah, this motherfucker right here, cold with it. Wait, is this the one he had his house? Hold on, folks. Give me one second. I want to share this shit. I like sharing shit. I like sharing other channels that be having like dope ass content. And I think some of that restaurant shit, that's why I fuck with that shit, and I hate that how people sitting on here trying to destroy the destination house, turning that shit into some shit like it's a white man owning some black dude and this ignorant shit that niggas talk about. That shit bothers me when I hear people talk like that and bringing these type of things into business partnerships and don't be knowing what they talking about. Just make everything into racial side of shit. But this dude, wait, hold on, this ain't the one I was watching. Let me find this one. This dude doing the burgers out the backyard and doing it some high quality, high standard shit. But yeah, I was looking at on Instagram on Destination Smokehouse Instagram. Like I say, people couldn't rock the fabric of what they built over there. The food's still rocking together and shit. Yeah, this is the channel right here. This motherfucker called Woodman's Burgers. Man, y'all gotta check this food channel out. This shit is dope. Uh, and dope from just how this dude has this operation running from his house. So he don't have to do the brick and mortar shit. He ain't got to pay the high rents and all that shit. And I would definitely eat a burger from this joint because this shit is of a high standard, high quality. His shit is neat. And that fool in there throwing these burgers down. So, a matter of fact, I've been trying to find out what state that shit in. But like I said, oh, this is motherfucker in the UK. So he over in the UK, man. He throwing it down over there. Y'all eat burgers in the UK, or maybe he can grab this shit from America. He can run a gold mine with this shit. He can run a gold mine. He doing them smash burger style burgers, and that motherfucker's of a high quality in what he's presenting with his content. But I didn't know y'all burgers a big thing in the UK. I never knew that shit. But back to the Destination Smokehouse, they doing their thing. They ain't letting no internet retardation, stupid motherfuckers ruin their business. They ain't letting it come into play about people thinking the older black man who works with a white dude and the white dude being the guy in charge and all that shit coming to fracture any of that shit. Dumb niggas talking about trademarks and tips. Motherfuckers sound dumb thinking this old nigga listen to that shit. The fuck niggas on the internet talking about. Like I be saying, people be saying some of the dumbest motherfucking shit to me. And people in business should never let motherfuckers fracture that shit. And then the agreement into business is what it is. And you hear so many stories. I grew up and this is what the thing that bugs me because I grew up knowing and hearing about so many black people that have owned shit, owned businesses. And you know what every single 100% of the old niggas who don't no longer own shit talk about, especially if they going with other niggas, fall out with money. Fall out with money. Simple as fucking that. And then having to sell that shit. So never listen to no niggas about money. Ever. And the 93 Octane says Cruz got 2 gold medals, says like Loma. Also, Keyshawn lost to Cruz twice in the Olympics, or was it once? And then he lost multiple times to him in the amateurs. And then Silvestri says what up? Says where Tank Davidson hiding at? And Krishan Rock's baby stroller and shit. He done took the role of being her little son and shit. Yeah, and they're hiding shit. But he ain't doing nothing but making shit worse for his stupid ass self. And this is the other thing I was thinking about this, man. Do a lot of these American fighters fear being rich? Do they fear the lifestyle? Do they fear having civility in their lives and shit? That money can present civility in your life. And you know, the other shit I was watching, I wanted to do this shit because I wasn't going to even want to cover this Andy Cruz fight, but it was a good test for Andy Cruz. So that's the only reason I went live. But I was watching the shit. Salute the Cameron. Because, man, Cameron, when it comes to dealing, you got to have this mindset when you're dealing with bitches, regardless of how beautiful they are. But I'm listening to his ex-chick and him have that conversation and seeing how delusional that she believes when, and a lot of women think that when you romantically involved with them, they think it's your role to provide everything for them. And this chick who broken up with this fool is really hurt and bitter with seeing his success that she's no longer in the picture with this dude. And then talking about the money, I was like, man, I'm listening to that shit. Was like, one point, I'm like, man, I always be knowing this shit. Got this shit figured out with how shit go down. And as well as that fool do, where he going to invest in, where she wanted $25,000 for a business she was opening. That nigga ain't loaning her that money. Bitch, this investment, I want a return on my shit. Ain't giving you shit. Like, hell no. Nah. And a lot of these bras be running that shit. And then I was talking about looking at the other relationship I've been seeing, like a bunch of my homegirls talk about with the internet fool. What's a fool named Christy something? I used to see some of her content. This shit was just too goofy to me. And I was like looking at the dudes like, man, you sitting in there dealing with that goofy ass shit. Cause the girl was big on content. Her content was blowing up and shit. And they present this relationship like it was just so picture perfect and shit. And I'm looking at this shit, was like, man, that shit looks like some goofy ass shit, like overboard. It's cool to have a chick that does all this shit to start content, but if you running continuously having to be part of her skits and shit, and they're knowing like that, that can fracture a relationship. And guess what? That shit fracture they shit. I think one of the fools, Christy and Desmond Scott or some shit. And then I'm looking at this chick, that chick hurt. She can't get beyond that fool. And maybe as well with them. I think there was a relationship for a long time. But that chick ain't about to find nobody else. That chick gonna have to go right back to that motherfucker. And that's the thing with relationships, where people find some of the dumbest things and fracture their relationships rather than respecting the boundaries of one another. That's what you like. You do it on your own. You can leave others out of it. But the one with Cameron, I was tripping off of that shit with the mindset of his chick and the mindset of what these chicks think you're supposed to do for them. That's why I always say I like chicks who earn their own shit. I'm not taking care of shit. Especially a chick I ain't built with. If you a chick who I done been around and came up with, then yeah, those things come into play as something different. You know, you fall off, I'm gonna pick you up. But all that other shit, you come relationship, meeting a bad broad, the first thing they looking for is they already on this status of they looking for a dude. Hold on, let me turn this fan on. They already out here looking for some shit. And then they looking for what is financially, what is a beneficial thing for them. And that's something that they learn from older generations of women who teach them that shit, rather than finding love and find a person to be with, finding the human connection, companionship. You don't find that shit. Everybody looking for financial compensations and shit. And the fact that bras think that all they can present is pussy, and that means you end up being a sponsorship, an endorsement, is crazy. And this chick bitter than a motherfucker. And a lot of bras get bitter when they see you move on. I had a post that I put up on Instagram where the chick was it's on the channel, be doing great ass interviews. The chick was tripping when she messed up her relationship, and she sits there and watches her ex-husband move on with his life, and it hurts her to see this motherfucker moved on, remarried, new kid, and thriving in life. That'd be like and the chicks get scarred and hurt by that shit because they're being brought up wrong. The teachings to these motherfuckers is wrong. Sucker ass dudes out here being tricks is what's wrong. Like, motherfuckers got the world and life totally fucked up and haven't figured shit out. Haven't figured out a damn thing. Motherfucking life is about respect. Life is about real honor, real, respecting real boundaries between one another, and not being about money. Everything shouldn't be about fucking money. And motherfuckers don't get that shit. And then Sylvester, like I said, that chick was wild with that Cameron shit. But Cameron handled that shit properly. And that chick's still mad. And then, like he said, that chick ain't got back on her feet. She ain't in no new relationship. She's still single and lonely. And she back in nursing school. He wasn't the one to clown her and shit. It's the one thing. You don't want to clown her. And but like you said, that chick bitter than a motherfucker. All these deals working out for this fool. And that's just the way it is. You got to keep it pimping. And that's what life is about. You keep it pimping. And then Sylvester says he stayed on the roast too much, talking about Andy Cruz. Says, I like Harvey Doc, says he's a good referee. Yeah, he's a good referee. I don't have too many knocks on him. There have probably been one or two fights I like question, like, what the hell Harvey Doc doing this shit. And then Box Sparring says Eddie Hearn just said Andy Cruz says going down the 130 division. Oh, see, it makes sense because he looked a little bit too weak to against this dude. It's like the power from this dude seemed to affect him and kept him moving and shit. And then Silvestri says, but can he get down to 130? Silvestri says Cuba has the best cigars in the world. Says, I must say, man, I have no idea what a cigar or cigarette is supposed to taste like. Them motherfuckers stink. And then Andy Jones says I saw the odds, says, and made an easy 200 tonight. Says on Raymond Andy Cruz says didn't do anything. You forgot to put your punctuations in there too. Says Andy Cruz didn't do anything. Says to make him the favorite. Says going into this fight. Says those odds were a trap. Yeah, I don't see Andy like 30, only 6 fights is crazy. But my thing was like he was just the younger, lesser experienced dude moving. I knew he had just a limited amount of fights. There's no way I expect him to go in there. Like he ain't one of these anomalies to the damn sport. And Andy, Ray, like I said, I didn't know much about Ray. I always heard about. Salute to CJ in the building. What's up, CJ? Velocity Cuss is fish and chips, mate. Oh yeah, because that's what I'm saying. They don't make burgers down in England like that. But this motherfucking channel right here, I was looking at it from the standpoint of not just looking at it like from the food standpoint. I like to see how people run their operations and shit. I love to see how people run their operations. And this dude runs a very smooth operation, the way his content is delivered, the way the quality and the food looks. Like this motherfucker knows what he's doing. And I think that's everything that makes shit stand out. Same thing with the smokehouse barbecue destination, Tendernism. They run a very smooth operation. It's a very high quality operation. The same thing with that dude from Blues Kitchen. I went out to his other restaurant he got. It's called the Court. Very high standard motherfucking operation, along with the food matching with what's presented inside the establishment. Like that shit means a lot to me. I like even when I eat food, man. I eat food, man, on some shit. I like to see how people put your shit together. Food ain't just thrown on there sloppily. What they call the shit, the presentation of shit. The presentation is everything. You don't want shit touching. You don't want to be like low budget, nasty, poor bum motherfuckers who be like, oh, it don't matter if it touches, all going in the same place. Like, get your bum ass the fuck up out of here. That's some old low budget dirtbag shit. Them type people we go to high standard restaurants in there looking like they don't belong in that motherfucker. 93 Octane says you can't find cuisine, says it's pints of lager and Popeye. Lager is that beer and shit? Why y'all call that shit lager? What the fuck is that? I be lost on certain terms, but I be always intrigued by learning shit. And then 93 Octane says Key lost 4 times, says total to Cruz. Oh, he lost 4 times to Cruz, so that's why he was happy this other dude beat him because he can't. And then Box Sparring says Andy Cruz moves down to 130 division. Says ain't no easy work down there either. Says says these are the current champs. Says WBO Manuel Navarrete. Navarrete is on his way out. Navarrete been looking like goods for somebody to go out there and beat the shit out of. What is that? Eduardo Sugar Nunez. I don't know who that is. Lamont Roach. Yep. And Oshaki. Yeah. Oh yeah, he got some good work down there. I just don't know who that other dude. He can beat Navarrete. Navarrete, look, he's on his way out. There's a lot of holes that nobody been able to expose. Oh, but didn't Navarrete get his ass knocked out? And then Velocity Cuss says, goofy ass Tank says, could have fought the winner, says of Andy Raymond, shaking my head. Man, Tank is a coward, bro. And that's the reason why he's smacking on bitches. He don't want to fight these dudes. And that's why he's avoiding them. And as CJ says, yeah, the way you played, says the way you played and present your food matters. Facts, CJ. Facts. And I know you know that shit because I be seeing the shit you post. I be even seeing when you cook shit. And the one thing that stands out is the way you present your food, the way you plate your shit. And even when you go to them high scale restaurants, that shit is a big time matter. I can't stand just shit just thrown in a to-go plate or thrown on a plate and just look any old way. And then restaurants wonder why they fall apart. Like even when I watch Destination Smokehouse, which bugs me when idiotic motherfuckers want to talk about what they don't know about these two niggas, and rather than talking about their food. When they present their food, the presentation in their food, the way these dudes stand about how they speak, that's what tendernism about. So while them number one is about how they present their shit. Even the other dude in Utah, Les Barbecue, he does the oxtail shit as well. And his presentation, his display of how he does his food, that shit is everything. Even Blue Kitchen in them, when they display their food, the content he presents, It's major shit. Even the dude I was talking about, the couples, the relationship that fell apart, the relationship everybody thought that many women wanted to follow their relationship, that Christy and Desmond Scott dude. I was seeing his content. That motherfucker's a cook. And then watching his cooking content, the presentation of his food, he lay out real high level food and shit. And then CJ says when I'm cooking for me, says I don't care, says if it touches, but I'm conscious about how I plate the food, says when I'm cooking for others. Yeah, no, them plates I've been seeing you making, because you making a lot of lobster and shit, like you played it well. I don't see it all running over and touching each other. And if Vlasica says, says Lamont Veggie Roach says versus Andy Cruz, we're probably in a draw. Man, I don't think so. Y'all be sleeping on Lamont Roach. Like I said, Lamont Roach, when he fought Tank, I told folks he's gonna whoop Tank fucking ass. I think I was the only motherfuckers on this YouTube shit telling people what Lamont Roach is gonna do to Tank. And he beat Tank ass. And being with Tank in this old corrupt ass, shit-sided ass sport gave Tank a fucking draw. When Tank took a knee, they didn't take a point. I think that was Harvey Dock reffing that fight. And that's one of the fights that I think where I'd say Harvey Dock did some fucked up shit. I think Harvey Dock was a ref in that fight. And Lamont put the beats on him. And then what did Tank do? Tank ran away from that nigga. Try to get the damn that's why I was happy as fuck that fucking Jake Paul pulled that fight away from Tank. Because Tank was supposed to rematch Lamont Roach. And then when he don't get that fight, now the nigga on the run because he going to jail and shit. Like, hopefully Lamont Roach get arrested too and go to jail. But that'd be some shit, right? Lamont Roach go to jail just so he can see Tank so they can get their fucking rematch in. And then L5 player in here who I was cooking earlier today is he saying a bunch of little clown shit because he got his mouth open for fucking Trump. And then, but like I say, I'm doing my show talking about how inside of this country, because I can only talk about America, about, you know, the expansion of how many dudes are really exhibit a lot of homosexuality and shit. And some of it could be these dudes hidden. Some of it can be dudes not knowing how to actually be man, how to be dudes, and not knowing and learning of how dudes are not supposed to behave and shit. There's a lot of homo shit. And that's why a lot of bitches, when we hear with bitches, especially bitches who deal with a lot of dudes, they always talk about how it's a lot of this homo shit with dudes. So we definitely talk about that shit. And then, but yeah, like I say, Trump really shows that there's a whole wide range of homo shit in America and shit, and mainly out of the redneck parts of America. And then Anthony Jones says stop bringing Tank name up. Says he might not ever step foot in the boxing ring again. Yeah, Tank a hoe. Tank is trash, man. Tank is definitely trash. And you seen that early on when Tank tried to create this divide with him and Floyd. Tank never wanted to accomplish anything. Tank just wanted easier fights, get him set up fights so he can earn the payday and not have to be challenged. Because the minute Tank suffers a loss, that shit's going to be debilitating to Tank from a mental standpoint. Tank will fuck around and off himself or go hurt one of these broads. And then Boxer Sparring says Eduardo Sugar Nunez is a fucking beast. Says his gas tank says next level. Says him and Navarrete says about to lock horns on February 28th. For the belt. Says you got to check him out. Says Sugar is nice. Says with it. Says all action. Yeah, because I think Navarrete is right for the pickings right now. So that dude, if he's as good as you say, he can fuck around and knock Navarrete out. Jimmy Bernard in the building says what's good. Says salute to the chat. Boxer Sparring says Turk about to put Tank next fight in the federal prison. Says on the undercard, says of Clarissa Shields, says I want to be a man so fucking bad, Shields. Clarissa, I want to be a man so fucking bad, Shields. Remember when they used to do boxing matches in prison and shit? That shit was kind of crazy and dope. But it's like, how the fuck was they allowing cameras and even a promoter to access the damn prisons to put on actual boxing matches? It was crazy. But that was just probably showing how big boxing was to the networks. And then you move in the 2000s where you start getting these old wishy-washy ass dudes who spends all day. How you spend all day in a fucking gym training for this shit and you're afraid to fight other motherfuckers? Like, that shit is the craziest shit with these dudes that box. Uncle Charles, salute. Says, salute, brother. Says UNC Birmingham, Alabama. Salute, OG. And then Silvestri says Tank Davidson says the disappointment to life. Facts. When Tank, you had this motherfucker Floyd set everything up for fucking Tank Davis. Tank Davis ain't never put work in to make a name, which is what was the downfall of this era. Was every fighter built a name, and especially with the type of fans you had nowadays, all the fans are based off of the popularity bullshit. If Floyd spoke of a fighter or people watched video of a fighter in Floyd's gym, they became a sensation. People want to follow him and put their bids in to bet that these people will be the next great thing in boxing. And Floyd built all these dudes by bringing up names. And Tank Davis being signed to him got his name off of that shit. Even with Dev name comes off of Floyd. Earl Spence's name comes off of Floyd. The fucking, and then even if you signed to the PBC, and then so he Tank Davis' name built off of that shit. Floyd put him in fights. Tank, giving the fans what they want by getting these knockouts, but these were set up fights, all set up fights. And then he started creating this friction with Floyd. Him and Floyd had a fallout. I think the rumor was he was fucking with Floyd's daughter or some shit. They getting into it, and Floyd building this dude up, made him a champion quick. Then they start throwing, okay, your next fight is Loma. And then he get the crying about how he didn't want to be a champion. He didn't want to be a champion, but Floyd insisted on him. And then here go Floyd him trying to set me up to make me fight Loma. He ran from fucking Lomachenko. Tank ran from Loma. Tank ran from Tevin Farmer. Tank ran from Devin Haney like a motherfucker. Tank ran from everybody. Only person he fight was fucking the two most fucking unfundamental motherfuckers in boxing, Ryan Garcia, but Ryan Garcia was trying to knock Tank head off. He had no respect for Tank. And that's why he's getting his ass caught. Same thing with Rolly Romero. Going in there just trying to bully Tank and knock his head off. Had no respect for him, and he caught them with them punches. And then, but the actual boxers, when he went in there against the actual boxer, against Lamont Roach, and the rest of these dudes with boxing skill sets and a resistance, greater resistance to punches, Tank knew he couldn't face these dudes, and he ran from them. And then when he got away from Floyd, he ran from him. And most people was like, "Oh, if Floyd stopping Tank from getting the fights he want, Floyd jealous of Tank. Floyd don't want to see Tank." Floyd ain't got not one of these fighters in boxing to be jealous of. They're never going to accomplish what Floyd has accomplished. None of these dudes. None of these fucking dudes. So all that Floyd jealous of these dudes is some bullshit. Is Floyd narcissistic than a motherfucker? Absolutely. But none of these dudes in this today era is Floyd. And then so when Tank breaks away from Floyd, and everybody like, now Tank gonna get the fights. Now Tank gonna fight everybody. Tank gonna do this. Tank get on Wally and Gilly's show. Ain't that nigga name? Gallo, whatever his fuck his name. But he get on them fools. No, Wallow and Gilly, that's their names. He get on their fucking show. And they was like, so what's up, Tank? What's up with you? Have you ever called for the fights? No, why you ain't got this fight? And Tank was like, I never asked for him. And then that's when it exposed it wasn't Floyd and it wasn't Al Heyman. It was none of these motherfuckers. It was Tank. Tank don't want to fight no goddamn body. And then where we at? Where I think I missed the comment. Yeah, let me see. I think how does this thing move? Let me see. Oh yeah, I was on L5 Player. L5 Player says homosexuals like the people sitting beside you. Says at the Kamala rally. Said no, people like you who worship Donald Trump. He says I know they played Pop Lock. Said Pop Lock and dropped it at that rally. No. The homos is a bunch of dudes who worship an old crusty white dude married to a prostitute that he can't fuck, and surrounded by a bunch of dudes who worship him, kiss his ass. Bunch of flat booty, blonde head bimbo bitches. But it's you dudes who worship Trump more than his bitch does. And who worship other dudes. You dudes flirt with other dudes. Out of your fear, you bowing down to dudes and shit. Certified homo shit. And who knows what you niggas do in closed spaces with your alone time and shit. And then in the license clear says the white Muhammad Kawi says box in prison. Yeah, I remember he fought a dude in there. I don't think Kawi was the dude in prison, but I think he was fighting somebody in there. Or I could be wrong, but I think he went in there to fight a guy who was in prison. And then there was a couple of other, I think it's like 2 other prison fights, which is crazy shit. But Lysa Cuz says, hey, Cuz says, you see, but the one fight they knew to do a movie on is the white, what is his name? Saad Muhammad. They need to do a boxing movie on him. There's no other fighter who deserves a movie. Fuck all that Rocky shit. The Ali fight is great, but I think Saad Muhammad will have a greater story than Ali. His life was so fucking tragic, man. And then the fact that he gave some of the most spectacular boxing boxing matches in fucking history. He deserves a movie for a dude who was just a warrior and then just the tragedy of life from his birth, his rise to boxing, and then his fall and death. Like that's the dude need a movie. But like cusses, hey cuz, so you see Flacco with so you see Floka. Sorry, that's not Flacco. He says you see Fluka says with hella turnovers, says against the weak ass that. Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that shit up because this is the other thing. This is the other reason why the Lakers end up winning that game. Remember I was speaking about when Luka goes to that motherfucking free throw line a billion goddamn times. Let's go into that. Let's talk about that shit. Why the weak ass NBA want to present this fool like tomorrow NFL Sunday. Oh, and I gotta call the game. One of them on. Wait, do I got no? I got Prime. I got Prime. So I'm gonna have to find a link. No, maybe I'll just do a post fight on that shit. I don't want to call a game watching it from a link. Oh wait, no, it's a good link on that other one. Yeah. Let's call the game tomorrow. And then oh wait, maybe I can get a little a trial for that Paramount shit and cancel that shit. Do some of that shit. And so let's go into this Lucas shit. And I'm gonna get back to the chat real quick. But I want to show this shit while I'm always proving this shit about how weak this motherfucker Luka is. Luka shoots 15 fucking. He didn't throw the ball up a lot. No, I know JJ Redick following that damn Clippers loss had to get on this weak ass dude about hawking up fucking 30 fucking shots. So he shoots only 15 shots. He's still throwing up them 3-pointers. He didn't threw of 8 of these 15 shots, they're 3-pointers, and he only made 3 of them. But look at this stat where they allowed this motherfucker to shoot 15 fucking free throws. They allowed this fool to shoot 15 fucking free throws, making 14 out of 15. And I'm pretty sure you don't even got to touch this fool. LeBron, who drives to the rim, ain't got a goddamn free throw. But this motherfucker gets 15. Let's see how many people from the Mavs then got free throws. You got Najee Marshall with 10 free throws. Nobody is close to 15 free throws. I'm pretty sure Najee was attacking the rim and getting fouled. Luka throwing up 3-pointers, somehow is hitting the line 15 for 15 fucking free throws. It's crazy to me. And when he gets to the line that many times, that gives the Lakers his chance to win. But other than that, he blows games. He has 5 turnovers. This dude is ass. Straight garbage. Lakers ain't going to do anything. Cooper Flag shot kind of bad today, too. I was seeing his shit. How many shots he hawked up? He hawked up 20 of them motherfuckers, making only 7 of them. So that was horrific. Very, very horrible shooting from Cooper Flag. And he only got to the line once. To the line for 2 free throws. But Luka gets 15 fucking free throws. I say you can breathe towards that motherfucker. They call him fouls to get that weak motherfucker to the line. 93 Octane says, how does Bud win over Madronov? Says ranked now, says after tonight's performance. Oh, what happened to Madronov? Madronov, was he fighting tonight? Is I show in the hell and watch that shit? Let me see. What did he win by a knockout or some shit? I thought Bud fighting that dude and his step up was good. Okay, he won tonight. Oh, he dominated the scorecard wise. I see he dominated that fight. But he fought some dude named Salazar. But I don't think Bud should have been looked down. That's just people based on the fanboy shit that was trying to criticize Bud in that fight. But Bud won that fight. Bud hurt that dude. He's supposed to be known for being a puncher. Silvestri says Tank drained him, says to his size too. Oh, that's another fact with Tank. Tank was putting these weight restriction stipulations, these rehydration clauses to stop fighters from rehydrating and going up in weight. So he was at an advantage. I think he had that advantage over Ryan Garcia and all them. But yeah, Tank was just always whack. But people take them fights because of the paydays. And like I say, they shouldn't be no guaranteed line share or higher payday for a person just based on their names. Boxing should have to where you pay based on the winner takes a majority of a purse. And that way there's a greater incentive to fight harder versus how Dana wants to give out fight bonuses and all that shit. Man, you lay out if I was a promoter and ran a promotion or was on some turkey shit, my fights would be about here's the purse. Here's the purse. We lay out the lion's share goes to the winner. So the purse for the fight will be whatever it is. The winner will take 60%, loser will get 40. Or if it's that much of a bigger event and you need to push more for the fighters talking shit, you make the winner take 70% of the purse, loser takes 30. And then you'll work out whatever the agreement on back end shit. You get a percentage of this shit, we're gonna recoup ours, blah, blah, blah. And that way these fighters have to be forced to train harder versus they guarantee money. They go in there not working out hard, not spending their time in the gym. You just got to find greater incentives. It'll make the sport better, make these fighters better, and it can help them earn more money. Because the objective shouldn't be to rip fighters off, but a lot of fighters are ripping off promoters and shit. Simple as that. Fighters are ripping off promoters and ripping off networks. And then Lycine Cletus says 2010 generation of boxers says we're given a head start, says from Floyd. Facts. Says, and they still messed it up. Says I was Bud wouldn't have been held back. Oh, you meant you wish Bud wouldn't have been held back by Bob Arum. Says we really missed out. Yeah, Bob is the biggest piece of shit in boxing. And that's why you get a coon like Fred that try to worship Bob Arum, kissing his ass in nut sacks. They motherfuckers is retarded, just degenerate ass motherfuckers, man. Anthony Jones says, I think Mason says can beat Muratalla, says he just has to, man, shit. Muratalla whoop Abdullah Mason's fucking ass. Abdullah not ready yet. Abdullah's not ready. Abdullah been having some challenges in some of the fights he been faced with lately. Muratalla beat the fuck out that young dude. You know, Mason looks very stylistic. He has style and skill and all that other shit. He ain't ready for the championship level. And the problem with a lot of these boxing teams and their managers and shit, they be wanting to rush these dudes too quick. They better learn from the faults of Fernando Vargas, Antoine Douglas, who was always the highlight that I bring up of rushing into these fights. There's been some other younger fighters that have rushed up to trying to get there when they need to take their time. Anthony Jones says, because Abdullah hasn't really finished out his frame, like his growth and going right into his man strength. He's still young and shit. Anthony Jones says, keep his defense tight. And then L5 player says, you're the one wasting your time voting. Says, man, we on boxing. Nigga, come in here with that whole ass shit. And then Lycine Clear says, to L5 player says, stay off the orange man's, what is that, Platano. He says, talking about your politics has you with one man on your mind, perpetual. Man, I don't think about Trump. I talk about Trump. It has you niggas running here defending and crying when you hear me talk about Trump. That just goes to speak on this homosexual shit I say with a lot of you dudes. I get on here and I talk about Trump. And the first motherfuckers who run on here is a bunch of immigrant motherfuckers like you who want to be fucking Americanized and think you white. And then a bunch of these black dudes who sitting here worship this little painted ass punk. I think when I look at my titles speak about Trump. And then I think I speak about an agency called ICE. But it's always dumb motherfuckers because of their goddamn delusions and shit who run in here and I guess they hear their own names when I'm talking about dudes that they fucking worship. That just goes to paint the retardation of you fools. Now, these motherfuckers is retarded, homie. And then Lycine Cletus says the L5 player says stop the cat. Says you pay stay the same regardless. Says your pay stays the same regardless of what administration is in office. Yeah, these fools be acting like Trump was just gonna come in here and save something because they don't know what they be talking about. They don't know what they be looking at. You can just look at it and know Trump don't know what the fuck he doing. He can't figure a damn thing out. Just like he can't figure out immigration. Simple as that. That's why these ICE agents run out here delusional and belligerent. And then Trump in here trying to run some old bullshit, trying to paint this dude who got killed in a negative light. They trying to attack this dude and cover up shit. He had a gun. And then more and more video comes out because the FBI and them are compromised and agents can't do their work because they got these incompetent people in leadership over the agency. And this little dictator motherfucker that want to tell the agency what to do, that it takes more of internet sleuths who are doing the work of the damn FBI and the Department of Justice and exposing them that when they take shit to court, judges are in here throwing this shit out. And then we need to investigate where these fools get their fucking law degrees from. But the internet exposed it when they trying to act like that dude had a gun, because now they find the dude was armed and he had a right, part of a fucking constitutional right. And then saying he had his gun out, so paint the picture like he had a gun out being aggressive towards agents. The video comes out and showing clear as day in the picture, this motherfucker with a camera phone recording these ICE agents being aggressive towards him. And then now, oh, you trying to slam the dude. And then clear as day, an ICE agent removed that weapon off of him, walks away, and they unload on an unarmed dude. Like, motherfuckers is stupid out here. Stupid is stupid as you been. And then Silvestri says fans are still upset at Terrence whooping Errol Spence ass. Yeah, I mean, that was his easiest fight in life outside of Canelo. I mean, the shit with Terrence, man. And like I said, I didn't know Terrence is that good. That was the time when I thought Roy Jones was true. I remember I did that interview with Roy Jones at the then was that who was it? It was at the Jamel Charlo versus Coda weigh-in and shit. And I'm sitting there talking to Roy, and everybody was always speaking the hype of Earl and Terrence, them fighting, and Roy was saying, man, Terrence whoops him. He's like, Terrence stops him. Looking like, what the hell, Roy on? I'm thinking like it's the knockouts affecting Roy. And he was like, no, Terrence ain't fought nobody. I mean, not Terrence. He said Earl ain't fought nobody. Earl resume doesn't stack up to Terrence Crawford. And he just don't have the skill set. It's like Terrence can do everything. And I'm looking like, basing it off a name and all this other shit, not really looking at it from their standpoint, like, man, Roy tripping like a mug. And then years later, they get in that fight, and he spanked the shit out of Earl ass. But the fact that when he was moving up through unifying that one, where he started at 140 or some shit, or 135, 140, went to 147 and stopped every single motherfucker he fought at 147. Everybody he fought at 147 never made it to the fucking bell. And these dudes avoided him. Then moving to fucking 154, beating that dude everybody talk highly of. Then he spanked Canelo in one of the worst fashions outside of what Floyd was able to embarrass Canelo. But to watch a dude stand there and exchange and bang with Canelo, you ain't never seen that shit. Canelo been embarrassing. You don't even have the fans of Canelo being able to make the excuses because they actually watched that shit. And he didn't leave nothing for the eye to not see. Nothing beat the eye. Everything met the eye and what they saw, and they couldn't make a one fucking excuse about what they saw. And they had to accept that shit, eat that shit. That it was so bad that they started to fight each other outside that arena. Silvestri says Turk offered him $100 million to fight Shakur Haney and Teofimo, says, but he ducked. And Silvestri says top trash, talking about top rank. And Devontae says, I remember Antoine Douglas says losing to Kirk Seed, dude from Russia. Yeah, that white Mike Tyson, man. Says Douglas is 6 foot. Says, and that guy was like 5'5", says fighting at middleweight, says, and he spanked Douglas Bass. Douglas also from VA, says, I thought he's from DC or some shit, but it's kind of all in the same area. Says, man, Keyshawn better stay focused. Because that dude, because even them short dudes, you be having to watch them, man, because a lot of them dudes be short and compact. That's why it's dumb for taller fighters to try to fight these dudes on the inside and all that shit. You give up these advantages. Them short dudes crack that fool. I mean, that dude was just walking through Antoine Douglas. I mean, beat the dog shit out of him. And then that same fool beat on him is a dude who pulled off some major heights. That dude was like a crazy ass criminal dude. Think he robbed the bank for like $100 million or some shit. The fool went on a run or something. Devontae says Douglas said in the interview, says he don't even remember that fight, says with Kirkside. Or Kirk Seeds, how you said that name. Yeah, he was whooping Douglas ass when I was like, I was watching all the Douglas fight. I was like, man, it's a young fighter. Oh, this fool about to be the next best thing coming up. Because they was giving Douglas a lot of fights, and Douglas was active. Douglas would go right back in the fight, right back into a fight. And then they presented this one, this white Mike Tyson. Yeah, I'm the white Tyson. I'm the white Tyson. Like, oh, man, he about to be easy work for Douglas. That bell run, that fool walking right over there, whooping Douglas' goddamn ass. I'm like, damn. And I'm like, this dude ain't going to never be the same from that shit. I think he took like 2 more easier fights, got some wins, and it was over with. Picasso in the building saying, yo, and then salute Picasso, man. But that's all I got on this one, man. I'm definitely coming on here tomorrow. I'm gonna see if Brandon want to do the vaccine one, or should we just wait till next Friday for that one? But I definitely want to cover this shit about, the behavior of dudes, man. Definitely want to cover this shit. Because I see it's just a lot of shit that's just like weird with dudes, and it gotta stand out. This shit with the Adam 22, how them dudes over there worship this old weird ass dude. It was some, CJ sent me some shit earlier with Adam 22 and his girl in there kissing on a printout of the dude Jason Love who whooped his ass. He laying in bed. Like, these dudes go through humiliation shit with these broads. Like, these broads run fools with no backbone. That's why I was liking that Cameron shit. You gotta stay player. I'm like that all through our life. I don't give a fuck how a broad feel. I don't kiss bitches' ass. Bitches, I don't want bitches to kiss my ass, but you gonna love me. Simple as that. Silvestri says you see the news on the says on the Olympian, says who was trafficking lots of drugs. Yeah, that skiing motherfucker. Yeah, I saw that shit. They finally caught up with that drug smuggling motherfucker. It was a dude from USC and shit who got caught in some drug shit. But they don't highlight a lot of this drug activity shit. A lot of white folks involved in that shit. But in this picture that's painted through American media, they always make it like it's a black motherfucker. Rick Ross and them got to always be at the forefront of that shit. And some of them people be loving to be seen as that shit. And then Picasso said, maybe a white person moving 10 times more dope through this country than them. Picasso says when is the conspiracy shit? We were supposed to do it Friday, but shit. I think Brandon Deucing them would sleep all day, Deucing me up later. I had did that Adam 22 fight. I was gonna go live, like later was probably gonna do music. Now I fell asleep and was not waking up. And then CJ said, what time you going live tomorrow? Oh fuck, tomorrow the games and shit. After the games, maybe later on. Maybe like 8 o'clock, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock, I'll go live. But folks, that's all I got. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. I'm definitely gonna want to cover the NFL games tomorrow. But I'll be on here tomorrow. Probably I'm gonna see if I can get that Prime shit because I'm not paying for it. I'm gonna get a trial. I'm gonna see if I can get a free trial on that shit, and then I'll go live for that game. But that's all I got, folks. Peace.